Hi, everyone, and I welcome you all to today's exclusive crosstalk session on quantifying AI's business value and protecting it inside the maturity models and agentic RAG revolution. I'm your host, Khushi Mudgal, and I'm absolutely delighted to have you with us today. To help us unpack this exciting space, it is my honor to have two incredible guests with me today. Joining me today are Mr. Prashanth Nanjundappa, Vice President, Product Management Progress, and Mr. Ed Keisling, Chief AI Officer at Progress. It's such a pleasure having you both here with me today.
Hey
Thanks for
everyone.
having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Super excited to talk to you and share some of the insights we have been gathering over the last few months.
Definitely. And before we begin, let me take a moment to introduce our speakers and set the stage for today's conversation. Firstly, I am pleased to welcome Mr. Prashanth, Vice President of Product Management at Progress. With nearly 25 years of global experience, he has built, scaled, and launched enterprise products at the intersection of SaaS, PaaS, DevOps, cloud, and analytics. His career spans impactful leadership roles across Progress, Athena Health, Cisco, LG Electronics, and Nularity, where he has consistently shaped high performance product and engineering teams. His expertise sits at the intersection of product vision, execution discipline, and global team scale up, which makes his perspectives extremely valuable for today's topic. And joining him is Mr. Ed Keisling, Chief AI Officer at Progress. He is a hands on technologist known for architecting and deploying enterprise wide solutions for Fortune 500 companies and government institutions. His expertise spans software engineering, analytics, product management, program leadership, business development, compliance, and release engineering. He has dedicated his career to taking organizations from good to great by resolving systemic dysfunction, creating high accountability cultures, and building teams that execute with speed and have fun while doing it. He's also a certified Scrum professional, SAFe program consultant, an MIT presenter and mentor, and a passionate advocate for agile, lean, and continuous learning, making him a uniquely positioned voice in today's discussion on AI maturity, responsible scaling, and intelligent system orchestration. And now, setting the context about today's topic. Today's conversation focuses on a critical challenge that many enterprises face as AI adoption accelerates how to quantify real business value from AI while also ensuring that it remains secure, governed, and scalable. So, our discussion today will explore AI maturity and impact models, helping organizations move beyond experimentation towards measurable outcomes that align with business priorities. We will also examine that why agentic RAG is emerging as a key missing link in enterprise grade AI, enabling the systems that are not only intelligent but also reliable, explainable, and operationally robust. Our guest speakers today will also share insights on how enterprises can scale AI adoption responsibly using the right development and operating models to balance speed, innovation, and security. From governance and risk management to architectural choices and execution frameworks, this session will unpack what it truly takes to protect AI investments as they grow. So, this conversation is especially valuable for developers, architects, product leaders, and technology decision makers looking to translate AI ambition into sustainable, business ready systems without compromising trust, compliance, or control. And now, without moving with more ahead breaks. So, moving forward, firstly, I would like to begin with setting the context and asking you both that as you see that AI conversations today are everywhere, but many organizations still struggle to connect AI initiatives with tangible business outcomes. So, Prashant and Ed, from your vantage points, where do most enterprises go wrong when they're trying to measure the real value of AI? Prashant, I would like you to go first.
Thanks. I think when we look at this perspective, there are two vantage points that I would like to look at it. One from an outside in perspective, as in if we were to build products, right? And second is how can AI help us? When we look at the bringing AI capabilities, I think teams are or companies are looking at building a very perfect product. I think it is, and also completely done product. AI is very probabilistic, it's not deterministic. So if you are trying to build something perfect, you're not going to be there because the models are evolving. Every time a new version of model comes, your results change. You have to embrace the probabilistic mindset and also be comfortable in bringing a product which is good enough and which actually showcases the capability that you want to bring out to users and have them try. I think that's one challenge that I'm seeing. And second, when we look at how can AI benefit the teams, there is lot of focus going on in creating a central teams or creating a set of experts. I think this was helpful in cloud and DevOps and few other disruptions like this, where a center of excellence was able to bring expertise and drive productivity, drive the gains. But here, I think the value is in masses. More people embrace, more people start using this, you will see really small gains, which will add up to a huge gain in velocity and productivity. I think that these are the two challenges that I see. But I'm sure Ed will have a much more broader and a different point of view. Ed, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the challenge with realizing value from AI, particularly in 2024, 2025, was that I think we're all aware there's just so much hype around sort of having organizations adopt AI within their business. And I think this caused a lot of organizations to sort of rush into adopting AI without a clear understanding in terms of the problem to be solved, or perhaps trying to solve too big of a problem without clearly understanding sort of the metrics that they need in order to sort of measure success.
Mhm.
And so, I think it's the issue is that a lot of people were sort of running into this, and they were doing it without sort of a clear understanding in terms of the governance, security, or observability necessary in order to bring some of those solutions to production. And I think that sort of helped compound some of the challenges with measuring the value. And so when I think about sort of value from AI, there is so much that you can do with AI just today with the tools as they are. But I think that you need to start small, and I think it starts at sort of the individual level in terms of making sure that everybody in your organization is upskilled with as many of the tools as possible and understands how to apply those tools within their job in order to sort of drive better and faster outcomes. And the way that we sort of think about it is that if everybody can save 10, 15, 30 minutes a day, which I think is more than possible with the tools as they are today, that really compounds across your organization in terms of value that you can start to bring.
Right, Ed, and right, Prashant. Definitely, this was a great icebreaker for the whole conversation that we are going to go ahead with. So, moving forward with the first segment, which was AI maturity and impact models, I would like to ask you, Prashant, that when you see that organizations assess their AI maturity, what do you feel are the most important indicators that separate experimentation from the true business impact? And how should leaders think about the maturity beyond just model accuracy or adoption numbers?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because the answer is not very straightforward. Um, the reason I say that is because every time a new technology comes, I think we need to look at maturity and adoption in a tiered model. So first is do our team are adequately aware? Are they equipped with the right tools, right knowledge? And have we built framework that they can actually go access these tools in a safe and secure manner? If you go back to cloud, we were looking at, we thought cloud is going to accelerate the development, give us elasticity, but very quickly we realized that costs were blowing up and people kept unencrypted data on cloud in a public access. So there were a lot of security breaches. So I think AI is also much bigger disruption than cloud. But to begin with, organizations have to build this matrix around adoption. That is, how many chats are they having? How many models are they using? How frequently are they using? But the trap is, the trick is, you should not get stuck there, because the real metric or real ROI is in velocity and cost. So very quickly, you need to graduate from your basic level of metrics, which sometimes become vanity metrics if you get stuck there, which is adoption metrics, and then move to productivity metrics, where you start measuring velocity. So how are you able to deliver? Are you able to deliver product quickly? And are you able to create differentiation within your competitor through these capabilities? And last and definitely not the least, am I able to improve productivity and optimize on cost? And here, when we say cost, we gotta be cautious, because people think cost saving is equal to fewer people. It is in fact the opposite. If I'm able to do more with less, then actually I have more. Those people can do a lot more. So it in fact goes back to the first one, which is velocity. So I would say ultimate goal is velocity, but start with adoption metrics, usage, and then start measuring productivity. But ultimately, you should measure velocity.
Rightly mentioned, Prashant. And now, Ed, I would like to ask you that as you have worked closely with large enterprises and public sector organizations, so in practice, how do maturity models help align technology teams, product teams, and business stakeholders around the shared outcomes?
Yeah, so I think you mentioned this in the intro that I've done a lot of sort of transformations at organizations, and AI is really, I think, one of the largest transformations that most people in most organizations are probably going to be going through in their career. And I think the value of these maturity models is that they really create sort of a common language and a roadmap for alignment around what we think is actually important for teams and individuals to sort of organize around. And why it's important is that I think it's really easy for a lot of organizations, and I've seen a lot of these organizations make this mistake in terms of really sort of dramatically underestimating the amount of work that is needed to actually enable their teams to become expert practitioners. And so you need a way through these models to assess where the teams are at so that you can meet them where they're at and
Mm.
provide the right targeted enablement in order for them to be successful. And so the way that we think about it, and the way what Prashanth has helped work on, is just having this concept in terms of crawl, walk, and run, and having some collection of activities at each of those areas that you can discretely measure, so that you can then provide sort of the add-on training, so that you can then show progress, which is ultimately what you want to be able to do with management in those also within the organization, because it becomes sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy as they see that, like, oh, I'm actually getting better. I want to continue to get better. Show me the way.
Yeah,
So,
maybe one additional color to add there is, provide a sense of, when we had mentioned about crawl, walk, and run, and that's a fantastic framework. But you would want people to be comfortable to be in crawl stage or whichever stage they are in, because we are getting better day after day. Just like how LLMs they were really bad when they came out, but that was the worst they ever were. And the next day it was better and better and better, and it is growing exponentially. I think creating a culture of continuous learning and also accepting where you are and giving them ability to grow from where they are is also equally important.
right, Prashant, and right, Ed, definitely, as you see that reskilling and upskilling are becoming two important aspects in today's landscape. So, with all these shared outcomes in the global landscape of AI and technology, it also becomes important to address the right balance of managing and maintaining all these things that are coming ahead. So, with that, we will move forward to the next segment where we will discuss about agentic RAG and enterprise grade AI. For which, Ed, I would like to you answer first that as you see that RAG is widely discussed, but agentic RAG is still new for many teams. So, from a systems and architecture perspective, what makes agentic RAG a step change rather than just an incremental improvement?
Yeah, great question. So I think for those not familiar, because there's so many acronyms here, right? So RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. And really the problem that it's trying to solve is that AI models are trained on basically everything that is publicly available on the internet today, but that lacks one key sort of set of data, and that's data that is within your organization. So you can sort of conceptually think about this. You want a way to sort of apply that AI brain against all of these sort of good insights that you have within your organization. And so Agentic RAG does exactly that. It unlocks the value, all of this unstructured data that we all have within our organization. And I think CIOs have known for a while that data is sort of the gold within the organization. And AI, along with RAG, really is providing a way for organizations to finally unlock all of that value. And one of our customers actually had sort of a great quote, which I want to share, which is, and this is sort of an abstraction, which is that if we only knew what we already know, right? And what they were sort of referring to is that organizations are sitting on all of this information that's been accumulated over years, potentially decades, that provides very specific, rich guidance in terms of how to run the business and why they run the business. And there's a huge opportunity to just unlock that and really sort of further accelerate outcomes within the organization. But specifically to the question, so why is Agentic RAG sort of a step change? But probably many of the folks, sort of listening have built mini RAG solutions. I think it's one of the very first sort of solutions that people build when they're building AI capabilities. But one of the challenges with RAG solutions is that it's very easy to sort of get to a proof of concept, but it is very, very difficult to get this to scale with the right security, to minimize hallucinations, to have the right observability that you need. And really what Agentic RAG solutions do is that they take sort of some of the complexity out of the ingestion and the extraction process so that just works and that it works reliably in a way that you can sort of trust your business on it.
Right. And Prashanth, from a product and platform lens, why do you think is Agentic RAG emerging as a critical missing link for enterprise-grade AI, especially in environments that demand reliability, explainability, and governance?
Yeah, I mean, this question is very much a continuation of a response to this question is very much continuation of what Ed mentioned. The main point here is Agentic RAG bridges the gap between generative AI and enterprise requirements. So generative AI is fantastic in so many things, but it also brings hallucination. Models have bias for completion, not for correctness. And like I keep going back to this probabilistic versus deterministic. These models are probabilistic and they look for best match, highest probability in the information it has. When it comes to enterprise, there is more, there is a lot of weightage on being accurate. And in addition to that, there is a very important gap that needs to be bridged. That is for trust, data governance, and data governance ownership and compliance. And that's where Agentic RAG comes in. And like Ed mentioned, having if in most enterprises, they keep the data close to their heart, and sometimes they don't even own the data. The customers actually own the data. So that's where this whole Agentic RAG really comes up and shines as compared to building your own model. Because if you go and build your own model, it might also serve the purpose, but the cost is extremely high, and you have to keep on investing. It's not one-time investment. So in short, I think this builds the gap between generative AI and enterprise requirements for trust, data ownership, and compliance.
Right, Prashant. And both of you have, clearly mentioned to us that the right balance of actually maintaining this aspect of enterprise-grade AI and also maintaining this in the environments where today the people demand reliability, explainability, and governance as well. So with this, we would like to move ahead with the next segment, that is protecting AI value through security, governance, and scale. For this, I would like to ask you, Ed, that as you see that AI systems become more autonomous and agent-driven, so what do you think are the new risks that enterprises need to account for, and how should engineering teams design those guardrails without slowing the innovation?
Yeah, so I think you need to, this is a really sort of tricky question, right? So in order to understand the risks, I think in some cases you actually have to, experiment with the technology. And so experimenting with the technology could introduce the risks, right? And so you sort of get into this circular challenge. But we very strongly believe in terms of having sandboxes for engineers to develop in whether it's dedicated hardware, dedicated cloud environments, being very sort of diligent about looking at you know uh, the associated legal ramifications in terms of using models and what potential is for data leakage and misuse of the data. And really, sort of the problem that we're trying to solve here is that, as you mentioned, that there's going to be a lot of autonomy. And this autonomy that is going to be given to the agents is going to introduce a new attack vector that's going to introduce new possibilities for jailbreaks. It's also going to have potential for bias. It's going to have potential for drift. And so you really need guardrails that are sort of proactive and adaptive to that sort of new world in terms of delivering solutions. And so what are some of the risks that I think organizations need to think about? You have prompt injection, you have data leakage, you have unintended system actions, you have MCP, you have these agentic browsers that are now being introduced. All of these have access to either take control of your system or get access to your data or start to orchestrate sort of potentially malicious activity within your desktop or within your environment. And so organizations really need to sort of think about having the right technical controls in place. And some of these are sort of the same ones that we've had for all the applications we've had in the past in terms of role-based access, prompt validation, anomaly detection, in order to sort of make sure that sort of things are proceeding as intended.
Absolutely, Ed. And just like that, it is becoming more important to scaling the security and governance at scale, keeping these things at par. So, Prashant, now we'd like to know from you that as you see that scaling AI across products and platforms often exposes the gaps in governance and security. So, what do you think should be the principles which should guide teams as they move from pilots to production grade and enterprise wide AI adoption?
So I would say one statement, and then I'll give
Yeah.
some more guidance. But the main thing that we should look at is security and governance should scale as adoption scales. Um, I'll give you an example of not an AI scenario, but another technology, which is I go back to cloud because it is recent and we are all familiar. So CISOs had ultimate control, CIOs had ultimate control over infrastructure security policies. When cloud came, they tried to enforce similar control, but what it resulted in is engineering teams had access to cloud accounts and they started provisioning. They started doing whatever that application needs, and the result was shadow IT teams. So we thought there was only one central CIO team, but there were many shadow IT teams. Every team used to have, or every group used to have their own ops person. So if we don't scale with adoption, teams figure out how to game the system. And that's where it is really, really important for security and governance to scale as the adoption scales. And in addition to that, they should actually implement, be transparent and emphasize on clarity, because it's a very fast-paced evolving domain, and I think it is very unfair and even borderline stupid to say that some one person in the organization knows everything. So if you create a transparent system, you can, and if you establish why you are saying these policies and what are the basis in which you have created this, then you get constructive criticism and constantly improve your policies and governance models. Right. So figure out how to scale with this fast-paced adoption.
Rightly mentioned, Prashant. And definitely, as you mentioned, that exposing these gaps in governance and security becomes more important with the guiding principles that came from you very nicely. So with which we'll like to move ahead with the next segment, that is development models and execution. So for this, I would like to ask you, Prashant, that from your experience building global product teams, what do you think the development models work best for scaling AI responsibly? Centralized AI teams also and embedded product teams, or some hybrid approaches work out for that?
Yeah, I go back to my first opening remark about some of the challenges teams are facing. And one challenge that we see time and again, we hear time and again, is creating a centralized team. I think centralized teams are great. That is great for like prototyping, great for setting up some basic governance standards, POCs. But if you want to scale, it needs to be spread out, right? And that's where you need a hybrid approach, where you have a center of excellence or even a centralized team, then powered, paired with that a center of excellence, which is slightly broader. But everyone in the organization should actually be aware, should be enabled, and should be empowered to utilize the capabilities and also bring surface product capabilities with emerging technologies. So in short, it is hybrid approach, definitely not a centralized or completely decentralized.
Certainly. And Ed, as you see that organizations, it is becoming important to ensure accountability and ownership when AI systems are developed and deployed across multiple teams and functions. So how do you think that can happen?
Yeah, so I think that accountability at its core always requires, I think, clear roles. It requires sort of transparent processes, and I think also a clear understanding in terms of what metrics are going to be used to sort of measure success. And I think that those things together can sort of create a North Star for organizations to align around as they implement AI solutions. And so, this isn't really sort of any different from any other systems that we bring to production. You'll have sort of governance boards, you'll be defining ownership at each stage. You'll be thinking about sort of data governance, model governance, how you're going to sort of deploy things to production. And you'll have frameworks, as we mentioned, that we had introduced earlier, aligning around KPIs, and you'll have the same sort of regular cadence in terms of reviewing those metrics on an ongoing basis to ensure that you're sort of progressing towards the goal. But I think in particular for AI, the biggest challenge that I think a lot of organizations have is that there's still a little bit of fear, uncertainty, doubt as to what does that mean, right? So if we are very successful with AI, does that mean that we're, what does that mean for my job and my role? And so I think particularly when it comes to accountability and ownership with AI, I think it's really critical for management to sort of be clear with the why in terms of, if we are able to sort of accelerate initiatives here and maybe automate some of the busy work to provide a vision for there's an opportunity for you to be redeployed in another area that is perhaps underserved at this point or needs additional investment, and we can have you be redeployed in order to sort of solve that problem. But I think that is probably one of the core challenges beneath the surface as it deals with sort of AI adoption within organizations.
Greatly mentioned it, and that's actually a great point to look out for executing the development models and actually going about ensuring the accountability and ownership of the AI systems. So moving forward, this would be the last, but of course not the least question that I would like both of you to answer, that for developers and architects watching this session, what is that mindset shift that is most important when we move from traditional software systems to AI and agent-driven systems? Any of you can answer this.
Ed, why don't you go first?
Oh, sure. So I think you mentioned this at the beginning, which is that this is really sort of a mindset shift for a lot of individuals. And we always talk about the need for people to sort of embrace learning how to learn and sort of working outside of their comfort zone. And so AI is really this on steroids, right? It's really that sort of mindset at a very, very accelerated pace. And so, I think it's really critical for people to understand that this is going to be a journey and not necessarily a destination where, as Prashanth was mentioning, that like I'm just going to, within 6 to 12 months, I will have all of the AI knowledge that I need, uh, sort of moving forward. And so, I really believe that we are very much at the beginning of this transformation. I was playing with Claude Code over the weekend and was just sort of blown away with some of the advancements that have been made in the last couple months in terms of what is possible and how easy it is to sort of automate things. But I think that pace of innovation is going to continue to accelerate. Engineers are going to need to continue to invest time in terms of learning how to take advantage of those tools in sort of new and interesting ways. And also just sort of reimagining how they can sort of do their job from the perspective in terms of architecture and software development and troubleshooting, on a day-to-day basis.
Rightly mentioned, Ed.
So Ed mentioned something really, really important, which is learning, continuous learning, and be comfortable getting out of your comfort zone. And on that, on the second part, I want to take a segue and talk something about behavioral minds change that people have to bring, because with AI, I think the roles are getting blurred. Um, Engineers or developers are no more confined to developers. They can actually build out mockups, they can build out architecture diagram, they can build out PRDs. And similarly, product managers are no more just product managers. They can actually code, wipe code, or create prototypes. In fact, they can build, create pull requests for the features that they envisioned, from ideation to design to implementation. And I think developers, architects, product managers, all of us have to get comfortable with roles getting blurred. In fact, we are hosting a summit in a month or so, where we are using this term called AI builder within our organization. But we are not the first to do it. Many organizations have started, considering people, developers or product managers, as AI builders. In fact, LinkedIn has introduced a formal designation. If I'm not wrong, it is full stack AI builder. Right? I think we are moving from being a developer to a UX to architect to a builder, right? AI builder. I think that is a big shift in mindset. We should inculcate for us to be successful in this ongoing disruption.
Right, Prashant. And one final advice or one final key takeaway that you would like to give away to all of our budding developers.
Oh, so I would say that this is just a huge opportunity for you to sort of reinvent yourself at work and sort of reimagine how you can do your job on a day-to-day basis. I have engineers sort of coming and sharing stories with me that they have never had as much fun as that they are having right now, building and shipping software. And so, and those engineers are just scratching the surface in terms of what is possible, in terms of being able to leverage agents and have agents orchestrate with each other in order to sort of get things done on a day-to-day basis. And so I think the opportunity is huge. I think there's an opportunity for a lot of growth, a lot of learning, but as the engineer mentioned, a lot of fun, right? And so that really sort of motivates me.
Definitely.
And what I would like to share is this is not something that you can learn by reading, and this is learned by doing. So this is textbook definition of experiential learning, right? So experience, get your hands dirty. Like, you will miss a bunch of things, but the only thing that you're going to do by that is get better. So get your hands in dirty and do whatever you think you wanted to do, and most likely you can do it.
Right,
Yeah,
Prashant. And
really explore. This is something that we talk about pretty consistently, right? Is that I think that everybody is sort of at the same starting point, and so the opportunity to sort of really learn this deeply, you're sort of at the same point with everybody else, and so you have just as much
Yeah.
of an opportunity as anybody else.
yeah, definitely. So many amazing insights, and not just they were exciting, but also they were very insightful, Prashant and Ed. So this brings us to the end of this enlightening conversation, and definitely the insights have truly helped us understand that what it takes to move from AI experimentation to real business impact, and how enterprises can build AI agent-driven enterprise-grade AI systems that are also measurable, governed, and built for scale. So, with these amazing insights, Prashanth and Ed, this has truly been an insightful and thought provoking conversation on how enterprises can move from the AI experimentation to measurable business impact while also designing systems that are secure, scalable, and resilient. The discussion highlighted that how maturity models, agentic RAG, and the right development frameworks are reshaping the way teams build, govern, and operate enterprise grade AI systems at scale. Thank you so much, Prashanth and Ed, for sharing your perspectives, strategies, and lessons with us today. It has been an absolute privilege to have both of you on this crosstalk session and learn from both of your expertise.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It was great talking to you. And hopefully the audience also enjoyed this conversation as much as we did.
Definitely. We hope that the session gives the audience a clearer insight into how to quantify AI's real business value and also understand that where your organization stands on the AI maturity curve and design the agentic RAG driven systems that are not only intelligent but also secure, governed, and ready to scale with confidence. Thank you everyone for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again in our upcoming sessions. Until next time, this is your host Kushi signing off. Stay tuned for more such conversations from TechGig. Stay curious, stay inspired, and keep innovating the future of tech.